Hello historians, and welcome to another Purple Shirt History. In this video, we'll look at the last question of paper 2. It's worth 12 marks, and it makes you look at every single source to determine whether you think it is for, meaning pro, against, meaning con, or could be seen as being on both sides of the question. As always, please like, comment, and subscribe, and I look forward to answering your questions below. So sit back, relax, get your notebooks, and enjoy the video. Before we begin, I wanted to let you know that 2024 is a big change year for IGCSE History. Just looking at some of the things in this PowerPoint that I'm going to show you, the paper 2 has really been downgraded a bit in significance. So it was 50 marks, now it's 40 marks. In that intro there, I just said the last question was worth 12 marks, which is what it's historically been over the past couple of years. But looking at the specimen paper we're going to look at, the final question is only worth 9 marks. Still means you need to do well on it, but it just seems that the significance of the paper 2 has been reduced, while the paper 4 and the coursework has been given a slight boost. We'll go over the coursework next time, which I'm kind of dreading because I am not a big fan of coursework. But also the paper 4, it's been redone because paper 4 was quite difficult, and we'll look at the new format for paper 4. So let's just go through this official Cambridge change PPT, and it says updates from 2024, which will be the next test series after the time this video is made. It says paper 2 will be given more structure. It was one 40-mark question that was really difficult for IGCSE. I remember out of 40 marks, to get an A, the grade boundary was around 20, so all you needed to do was get a 50% to get an A or A star, depending on the year. So it was really difficult. So I'm kind of glad that they restructured the paper 4. I want you all to know that I really do prefer the paper 4 over the coursework. So the next little bullet point there, it says smaller changes to paper 1 and 2. So we're interested in paper 2. Let's see what's going on. So in the previous years, before 2024, we saw paper 2 as 50 marks, 33%, took 2 hours. The changes, slashing it down to 40 marks, 30%, and taking 15 minutes away. So 1 hour and 45 minutes. Document question. The number of questions has been reduced. Each core content option now has 1 question of 5 parts and not 6 individual questions. So here's the latest specimen paper from cambridgeinternational.org. You can see it says for examination from 2024, and it's got the changes baked into it already. So we're down to 1 hour 45 from that 2 hours, from which I'm used to. So this is a big change for me. Thank you for forgiving me for that mistake in the intro. All right, so we're going to go down. Okay, 19th century topic. Let's just take a look. Why did the United States become involved in Cuba and the Philippines? So this is part of those changes as well. So there's more of a focus on the age of imperialism for the U.S., which was late 19th century, early 20th century. But we're not talking about that right now because we are option B people as of this moment. So I'd love to do option A sometime when we have the bandwidth, but let's just stick to option B for now, 20th century. So why did the U.S. fail to win in Vietnam? So that's our question. Look at the background information so you can see the context of what your answer is going to be in. You see some dates here, you see some numbers here, 500,000 civilians, 58,000 U.S. troops. So you can glean information from this. You can copy down some stuff in your answer booklet, or when you're taking the actual test, make some notes that can be put into your answers. But we're not going to go to source A after we read the background information. What we're going to do is all the way to the bottom, go to this question, right? Our last question where we have to study all the sources, because this is going to add that framework for what we do when we're reading all of the sources and answering all the previous questions, right? So How far do these sources provide convincing evidence that the USA was defeated in Vietnam because it failed to win the support of the South Vietnamese people? All right, so there is the crux of our argument. We need to kind of look at everything through that lens. Failure to win support of the South Vietnamese people. Use the sources to explain your answers. Oh, no, it doesn't say use the sources and background knowledge to explain your answer. So that's also quite important. Just use the sources to explain your answer. Interesting. All right. So we've read the question. Now we can go back up to the beginning. So we've already gone over how to do source questions, either a single source or multiple sources in previous videos. So please go back to those and watch them if you want another refresher. In this video, we're just going to go to the last question. So you guys and girls can go through all of these questions in this particular specimen paper, which I'll send the links for in the description. So you can do that. But what we want to do, just as a little thing to help us for the final question, is for every source, if you think it is either for, against, or can be used to support or deny the question, you just put a plus or a minus. So as you go back to read all of the sources, you can quickly make a T-chart at the end and add up all the pluses on one side and then add up all the minuses on the other side, and you'll kind of get a general idea as to where your conclusion should be. So let me show you what the mark scheme says for this particular question. If you look underneath, it says supporting, not supporting. Supporting is A, B, D. Not supporting is C, D, E, and F. So there is slightly more sources that are not supporting this question of the USA lost because it failed to win the South Vietnamese people to their cause, win the support of the South Vietnamese people. But that's pretty equal to me. So, I mean, 3 and 4 is a conclusion probably to some extent, to a moderate extent. It's not very lopsided. We don't really see only maybe 1 or 2 sources that support and the rest do not, or vice versa. So also, I wanted to point out one other thing. In the mark scheme here, so there's A and B, okay, those support, but we see D is here. We see C on the not supporting side, but we also see D as well. Don't be surprised to see at least one source that can be used in both columns, all right? I would say maximum 2. I've never seen more than 2 sources be used for both sides. So don't think that, oh, there's going to be 3 or 4 sources that can be on both supporting, not supporting, pro and con. That's not going to be the case. You're going to have to make some difficult decisions as to where the sources are. But normally, I would say there's at least one source that kind of is balanced with either criticism or on one side or the other, and praise in that same source for one side or the other. So yeah, keep that in mind. There will be a source or 2, usually 1 though, I think, based on past experience, that will be in both camps. So don't get freaked out if you see a source that you don't know if it's either pro or con. It could be in both.